Hey YouTubers, I'm the Salt and Pepper Prepper, and this video is in response to Commsprepper's challenge. What's your communications plan? We've all seen on YouTube many videos on emergency communications. Commsprepper has a great YouTube channel. He has many great videos. I encourage you to watch them all. He covers all sorts of topics from how to set up certain radios, bug out bags, you name it, he's pretty much done it. And a lot of the times, many of these videos show people operating out in the field. But for me, that's not what I'm up against. In a real-life disaster event, I face this. I live on Long Island, 45 minutes from Manhattan. Densely packed houses are on postage-sized lots. There's congestion and traffic everywhere. It's an RF, noise-filled nightmare. If I tried to evacuate, to my east is the ocean, and I don't own a boat. To my west is Manhattan, with its choke points of bridges and tunnels to get to the mainland. The combined population of Long Island and Manhattan is 9.1 million people, all who would try to get out at the same time. The fact is, in an emergency, whether it's a weather event or a man-made event, I'm stuck. I'm not going anywhere. For me, the issue is how do I shelter in place, at home, stay informed, and communicate with family and friends without bugging out. The very first thing needed for any INCOM plan is the ability to communicate in the first place. If you have no power, no electricity, no gasoline to run a generator, a shortage of food, and you aren't sure of where your family members are, communicating will be low on your list of priorities. Trust me, I know. After going through 9/11 and Superstorm Sandy, I've learned a few lessons. Superstorm Sandy was a lesson in survival for the New York and New Jersey area. Sandy was not a hurricane, it was a water event. Winds barely hit 70 miles an hour. But the water and flooding was another story. For the residents on the south shore of the island, flooding caused immense damage and hardship. For the north shore residents, the issue was downed trees on power lines. For all of us, power was out for days. If you had a generator, it was no problem until the gasoline ran out. Gas stations had no power to pump gas. Those that did have backup power soon ran out of gas due to the fact that gas gets to Long Island by barge, and the barges couldn't get through due to the floods and submerged wreckage. Grocery store shelves were empty, tempers flared, and things got tense. So INCOM plan tip 1 is this. Before you make an income plan, make a family safety plan. Believe me, if your family isn't safe, you'll care very little about communicating. Have on hand water, food, lots and lots of batteries, a generator, a stockpile of gas, and tarps. Don't let the gas in your car go below a half a tank. Have at least one full bottle of gas for your barbecue grill. Have a bike to get around on. And have cash on hand to get you through at least a week. Without cash, you're toast. Should you live in an environment where evac or a bug out is highly probable, have most of these items ready to load up and go. And don't forget to plan for your pet. Statistics show that 60% of people will not evacuate if there is nowhere for them to go with their pet. That's 60%. You're at work, the wife is at work, the kids are at school, disaster strikes. You can't get home, the wife can't get home, and the kids are stuck at school. If you think it can't happen, think 9/11. Thousands were faced with no transportation home. So, what's your plan? Have a common meeting place and a way to get in touch with one another. Think it through and make a plan. So now that you've taken care of the basics, we can get informed and communicate. Here's my communication plan in place. Communicating has many methods and forms. Mine include monitoring, which is a biggie, talking or voice, and digital. For me, the two biggest are monitoring and digital. This is a sweep of my shack. It includes VHF, UHF, HF, including digital capabilities, D-Star, DMR, and FRS, GMRS. My equipment is both fixed and also portable HTs. Knowing what is happening around me is huge. Situational awareness is at the top of my INCOM list. To monitor my situation, I use battery-powered or crank radios and scanners. Public broadcast radios need no explanation. In an INCOM environment, I use the scanners to monitor police, fire, and the utilities, mainly repairs and dispatch. My rigs include a Uniden 996XT, a BCD 436HP, and a BCD 536HP. By monitoring and listening, I stay informed. 90% of my time is spent listening, and about 10% is talking or communicating. If I leave my home, a portable scanner is one of the radios that go with me. Learn to listen to the situation around you. It's key and very important. Suggesting to my wife that she should obtain her ham license will get me, at the very least, the look. Like most of you, my wife does not share the same level of enthusiasm I do for being prepared and communicating. Therefore, FRS and GMRS play a role in my plan. FRS and GMRS require no test. For GMRS, there's a small license fee, which will allow my family to communicate on the radios under one license. The radios are easy to operate, inexpensive, and small. A GMRS radio will easily fit into my wife's purse or car. The downside is the range. Don't fall for those unbelievable claims that are on the radio packaging. FRS GMRS is typically only good for a mile or so unless you are lucky enough to have a GMRS repeater nearby. These radios are line of sight only and are terrain dependent. Even with the range issue though, they are better than nothing. My main communication plan involves amateur radio. So for all of you who aren't licensed, go get your license. Ham radio opens up a world of options for you. And getting licensed is easy. If an 8 or 10-year-old can do it, so can you. My VHF-UHF rigs are used mostly for local communication. I have several repeaters programmed, some of which are linked together to cover the entire island. My ICOM 2820 provides me 50 watts of power on VHF-UHF and includes a D-Star module for world coverage via the Internet. I use a SignalLink USB in conjunction with the 2820 to run FLDigi digital. This enables me to send messages and forms via RF without the use of the Internet. As an ARES Assistant Emergency Coordinator and a RACES District Radio Officer, I stress to my colleagues not to rely on repeaters and Internet. In my area, one good hurricane will knock all communication antennas out. So learn your communication capabilities using simplex. I've mapped out exactly who I can reach via simplex and my limits. Don't fall into the repeater trap. Get used to simplex. It may be all you have. My VHF-UHF capabilities are enhanced with VHF-UHF, D-Star, and DMR HTs. My vehicle also has a 2820 to round out my VHF-UHF plan. My HF capabilities are geared for long-haul communications depending on the antenna I use. My OCF dipole will give me global reach, while my NVIS antenna is good for HF comms up to 300 miles. My Elecraft K3S with the P3 pan adapter is used for HF voice. It's a highly capable combination. The K3S has superior sensitivity, while the P3 pan adapter gives me a visual of the band and signal traces. It's like a fish finder for RF. With this combination, I can always find someone to talk to. Next is my ICOM 7200. I use it for both voice and digital modes, including PSK31, WinLink HF email via RMF Express, and ALE. The 7200 is my workhorse. WinLink and RMS Express are very important to me, as it's my HF, no internet, email connection. For all of my equipment, the fact is that it's useless junk without a good antenna system. I look at my radio, coax, and antenna as a system, with the antenna and coax as the most important. I pay close attention to my antennas and put a major portion of my comm budget towards a good antenna system. My Diamond X200 VHF-UHF antenna is mounted on a max gain system fiberglass push-up mast. This enables me to raise and lower the antenna at will. If I see high winds forecast or a bad thunderstorm rolling in, I lower the antenna. My diamond disc cone provides my scanner feeds, while a homebrew off-center fed dipole keeps me in the HF action. Lastly, what would I do with the GMRS radio if I won it? Use it, of course. It would be my fixed station, and the wife would get a good GMRS HT to use, expanding my comm capabilities just a little bit more. I'll close with my MCOM top 10 tips. Take care of you and your family needs first. Make sure you have some cash at home. Make evac plans for your pet or pets. Remember the 60% statistic. Have a common family meeting place. Get a scanner. Learn to listen. Have situational awareness. FRS GMRS radios have limits, but they're better than nothing. Get your ham license. It's easy. Learn to operate VHF UHF simplex. It may be all you have. Learn to use WinLink via HF and VHF. Charge your HT batteries twice a month. Be ready. Recommended training is to locate and go through CERT training. CERT stands for Community Emergency Response Team. It's a great program that will give you many lessons on how to take care of you, your family, and home. Michael Ryman and Andrew Jones have written 2 books that I think are essential reading. The first, Surviving Disaster Without Leaving the Home, is filled with great tips written by people who have been through a disaster. The second, Evacuation, A Family Guide for the 21st Century, is required reading if you think you may have to evacuate. I hope you enjoyed my video response. This is the Salt and Pepper Prepper, and 73.